All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners, clients, and prospective of both most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central. And this is a great time to get together to reiterate what the grant is, how it works, how you can benefit, but most importantly, to answer your questions. Now, it could be that you have a question's a little too sensitive to answer in front of the whole group. But in general, we can certainly answer questions regarding the grant, the program, the process. And if you're willing to, if you have just a little bit of time in your schedule to go out and help educate and help others, you can earn a great side income as a financial literacy educator. So I'm going to start with just a quick overview of who we are, what we do, but I really want to focus on your questions. I don't want us to leave this brief Zoom today and you not understand what you need to know. Whether it be, how do you plug in so you can follow the formula for funding? So in 30 to 60 days, you can have the capital that you need to start to grow to reach your potential. Or alternatively, to make sure that you understand how you can help others and earn an adult income. But first things first, let's go through the introduction. So I'm sharing my screen if all's going well. I'm on chapmanloanprogram.org. This is the resource site that we were required to create when we received the grant. So this is kind of a one-stop shop for anyone to go to. We're very transparent, right? There's no passwords, there's no filters. This is open for anyone to view. So in chapmanloanprogram.org, it's important to understand that we applied for and received the grant, and the way that we administer the grant services is through the Startup Business Funding Package. What is its purpose? Crystal clear. There should be no confusion. We help businesses become positioned for fast funding. Well, what does that mean? Sounds good, right? Is that a marketing pitch? Is that too good to be true? Absolutely not. So a big part of what we do is we educate. What does it take to have a fundable business? Because this doesn't matter, frankly, your opinion nor mine. These are the facts. So what we do is we go out, and we'd love for you to assist us in doing this, and you'll get paid for it. Let's go educate people how to have a fundable business, because they don't know. Most people don't know. So what is it that it takes to have a fundable business? Well, it is listed here, and I'll go through. It is listed in this proposal, which you can access by clicking here. It's outlined in our press release, which you can click on here. It's reiterated in a full training video that you could go out and use to teach in person or online if you want. So again, consistent, transparency, risk-free. Those are the key concepts here. No surprises. So what does it take to have a fundable business? There are a few elements. Most people don't know this. You know it, or you will know it momentarily. These bullets are in a specific order. I don't know if you remember back in 6th or 7th grade math where you learned about multiplication. And do you remember that the order that you went in mattered? Do you do multiplication before addition if it's a complex formula? So order matters. So I'm going to show you the correct order. And if a small business, startup or existing, follows this order, they will have a fundable business. They can take this knowledge and go do it on their own, or they're welcome to participate in the grant, and then we can help them. But here's the order. First thing that we need is a unique commercial address. So what is not that? A residential address, your home, not good. Post office box, not good. Some address that you have that's shared where other businesses have the same suite number, not good. Now, I'm going to give you a lot of the what just because of time's sake. If you want all the whys, in other words, more background on each of these bullets, I do encourage you to go view the 10 mistake webinar. It's on demand. And again, many of you are going out to churches, chambers, apartment complexes, community centers, business groups, and teaching it. But this has the full version. I'm giving you the Cliff Notes here. So the first thing we need to do is have a good commercial address. Well, why is that first? Because if that's not correct, everything downstream is going to be off. It's going to be wrong, and we must have consistency. So once we have a good address, and we provide that through the grant for how much? Free. Let's read it. Free, right? Free. Second, we need to have good standing with the Secretary of State. So you can form a new business and have it filed, and then, of course, it's in good standing. But each year, Secretary of State may require some sort of filings to maintain in good standing. Our business must be in good standing. Now, the good news is through the grant, through the startup program, we pay for, so it's free. It's not free to us, but it's free to the participant, filing with the Secretary of State. Okay, so now we have a good address that we use to file with the Secretary of State. So you can see how the order is already important, right? We were only on bullet 2. And if we went in the wrong order, it would be all mucked up because we'd have a bad address with the Secretary of State, which would have a trickle effect of bad address being elsewhere. Then we need to complete the final step to have the business set up, not to be fundable because there's 2 more bullets, but to be set up properly. We need to get our EIN, which is free, simple, and easy, and open a business bank account. So once we have these 3 bullets done, which cost how much? Free, free, free. Now, at least we have a credible business. So it starts there. Nothing else matters if we don't have that. So we do that first. How long does that take? Let's just say a week, around a week. Could be a little less. We see the Secretary of State. I don't know what in the world's happened, but lately the Secretary of State is spitting these out very, very quickly. So it's good. So this will be very fast. So now we have a credible business to work with. Now you might be asking, well, Tom, I have some of this already. Well, great, but you need all 3 of those, right? 1 of those is not enough. 2 of those is not enough. You need all 3 of those to have a credible business. Now we progress forward. Now we need to establish that the business is credit worthy. Well, how do you do that? It's a 2-step process. So there's kind of 2 sub-steps that aren't described there, that they are fully disclosed down here. But I'll tell you what they are. So the first thing we're going to do is help each client have a good, complete, accurate profile with like Dun & Bradstreet. Have it get a DUNS number and make sure that profile is accurate. Well, what does that mean? Well, is the industry right? Is the address listed correct? Different elements that the business credit profile has is not as often not automatically accurate. So we have bad information. Bad information doesn't help us get funding. It makes us unfundable or at least is a barrier. So sub-step 1, make sure the profile is complete, accurate, optimized. Secondly, we add trade lines. What does that mean? Well, just step back. None of this is too good to be true. So think about when you turned 18. When you turned 18, you knew, well, or someone should have told you, hey, you need to start adding trade lines. You need to show that you're responsible in managing credit, because if not, you won't be able to access credit to buy a house or to buy a car or what have you. Well, in a business, it's really not that much different. We need to add trade lines under the EIN. So that could be real estate trade lines. We do a lot of business automobiles. I was just working with Mercedes-Benz Financial yesterday for a client. So let's go get a company car. Everyone has to drive pretty much, right? Unless you maybe live in New York or Chicago. But if you're going to have a vehicle, let's get a company vehicle. Let's make it completely tax deductible, right? So that would be an example of a trade line. Business credit cards, little net 30 accounts. We'll work with each client, but we need to add trade lines so the business credit profiles look strong. Now, frankly, this is the longest part of the process, but the whole thing's only 30 to 60 days. So I'm not trying to say this is going to take a year or two, but this is the longest part of the process. But the good news is we're adding primary trade lines. So it's a car you can drive, or a real estate that you own, or a credit card you can use. It's not just delaying and not seeing any results. So with the first 3 bullets, we established a credible business. Then we built out the business credit profile. Only one more step, then we're fundable. So what we need to do here is we need to have strong financials. Again, a lot of people don't know what you and I know. Either they have bad information or no information. I'm not sure which is worse. Probably bad information is worse, because now they're thinking they got it figured out and they're completely wrong, or at least partially wrong. So what you and I know is there's what? A formula for funding. We're looking at it right here. Anyone can follow this on their own or with our help, doesn't matter, and we'll be able to qualify for a lot of funding for the business. Matter of fact, this final bullet we're on here is so important, and so many small businesses want to dismiss. It's like, oh no, I have a new business. I don't have financials. That doesn't apply to me. Complete bullshit. That's horrible thinking to come to the conclusion that you're going to go to a bank or some sort of other lender, apply for funding, and not be expected to demonstrate that your business is in fact credible and fundable. That's crazy talk, right? I had one person say, well, is this a scam? It's like, wait a second. What part of this could possibly be anything other than transparent, accurate, and true? We work with accountants, we work with attorneys, we work with bankers. This is absolute accuracy of what it takes to have a fundable business. So what are we going to do on this bullet? We're going to help the client build out financials, because a lot of them don't have it, like a balance sheet and income statement. And we're going to transfer assets. We call this quick cash. We're going to transfer assets over to the client. So now they have collateral, and then we're going to help them liquidate those receivables to put into their business bank account. So quick cash. Now, I know several of you, and I think that's what Ken's asking right now in text. Yeah, so yes, quick cash is available as a standalone if someone's just looking for a quick 10,000. So yes, Ken, you can get quick cash standalone without everything else, but it's included here. Why? Because we need financials and we need collateral, so that's included. So once we have this done, now we're ready to go to funding. Sounds good, right? Well, what kind of funding? Well, we need to look at the client's mitigating circumstances. How much money do they want? What are they going to use it for? And so forth, their industry and so forth. So there's many different sources of funding. One of the most common mistakes people will get caught up with is, well, is this going to be an SBA loan or not an SBA loan? I don't know, and it doesn't matter right now. We need to have a fundable business or there is no funding. So once we have a fundable business, then we can decide where to go for the funding. But we can't skip over the fact that we need a fundable business. And once we do have a fundable business, we're going to have lots of options. Do you follow that logic? So I understand the end goal is to have a fundable business to get funding. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you don't need a fundable business first. So many different sources of funding. One of our favorites is called the Chapman Fund. The Chapman Fund is ran by a gentleman that used to be one of my employees, actually. And I know his family well. We took him to the country club. We spent a lot of time together. He's a very, very good, honorable man. He runs the Chapman Fund. The Chapman Fund is a taxing authority-based source of capital. A lot of words, but in other words, we don't have to go to a bank and jump through their hoops. We're able to go to the Chapman Fund and get funding to start or grow a business. So that sounds good. Actually sounds very good, doesn't it? But it's not all chocolates and roses, because the problem is this: only up to $250,000. That's the cap that they'll fund. And I get people that get mad at me, they curse at me, they'll hang up on me. well, this is horrible. I can only get $250,000. This is hypocrisy. Well, this could be just the first tranche. We don't have to stop with the Chapman Fund. We don't have to stop at 250,000, but it is a fact that that's their cap. And I'm sorry for that. I can't change that. If you're mad at me, I'm sorry. But what we could do is a couple things. We could use it as the first tranche and then go after other funding afterwards. Or frankly, you could repeat this process with multiple businesses. The bottom line is our 501c3 nonprofit assists businesses in getting positioned for funding. You know exactly what we're going to do. There's no uncertainty. There's no risk of failure. You know exactly what we're going to do. It's right here. It's in the proposal. It's in the press release. It's outlined in the training video. So there's no mystery. I have prospective clients that come to me on a frequent basis and say, well, tell me how it works. Sometimes they get frustrated with me because I'll ask them, are you near Chapman Loan Program, or are you near an internet-enabled device right now? Because I want you to go to chapmanloanprogram.org, because I don't want them to misconstrue that I said, oh, sign up and I'll get $5 million tomorrow. That's what Tom said. No, Tom wouldn't say that, but Tom's going to say, let's go over here and let's make sure you understand what we do. And in most cases, I'm going to refer them to one of you who's one of our branch offices and have you educate them. Because this program doesn't need to be sold to anyone. If you'll just educate people what it takes to have a fundable business, which is outlined briefly here and more thoroughly here, then they can make a decision, right? Either they can do this on their own or they can participate. Now, let's say that you talk to someone and they already have some of these pieces in place. Well, great. We used to be real rigid. Now we've relaxed. Great. You have some of this in place. You have an EI. I had a guy yesterday, and God bless people who are just so financially illiterate that they just don't know what they don't know. So again, what do we want to do? We want to love those folks. We want to embrace those folks. We want to help them. So this guy's like, well, I've got my EIN, like it's some big deal, right? Well, you and I can go get an EIN for free from the IRS in about 2 minutes, right? It's insignificant in the big scope of things. Anyone can go get a business address, obviously for free. Anyone can go file with the Secretary of State for free. Anyone can get an EIN for free. That's not rocket science. But that does not make a fundable business. What's missing in most people's cases is they don't have the creditworthy established on their business, and they don't have strong financials. So can someone bring bits and pieces of a business and plug in? Yes, now we're allowing that. All right, so I need to start answering your questions. I'll go through the bottom of the site. But if you can type in the questions that you have into the Q&A, we can cover that. It's like a chat box, a Zoom. So, required disclosures. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were formed in 2016. People will come and ask, well, how long have you been in business? Well, here's the answer. I don't know if you like that or dislike it. I can't change truth. I guess they're wondering, right, when the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower, did we start it back in the 1700s? No, we didn't start this in 1776. We didn't. I'm sorry. But we did start it in 2016. We did receive the grant. We are a member of the SBA FDIC's consortium. We work with about 40 different lenders. And you can reach us, right? We're real people. We get contacts overnight. We've requested additional grant funding to move to 24/7 operation. Right now, we're just staffed during the week, like just normal office hours. But I know that so often clients have some urgency. I had one gentleman, he emailed us last night, so it pings, and we're supposed to get up and respond to emails within 1 hour. So if someone emails us at 1 a.m, procedurally, we're supposed to get up and reach out to them. So this guy emailed us middle of the night. So we reached out to him this morning. He had fallen asleep within that 60 minutes or 90 minutes for us to respond. He put us on hold so he could go urinate. Fine. Came back, talked to him for 10, 15 minutes. Then he needed to go defecate. So then we had to wait on hold again and talk to his wife or girlfriend or someone. So, I mean, we're going to do everything we can to be accommodating because we want to help everyone know what does it take to have a fundable business and help them do so. Because what you and I can do together is change people's lives. Anyone can have at least $250,000 to start or grow a business, but we have to have a fundable business to do so. So resources that are on the page, well, I did mention there's a 2-step process to qualify. Step 1, step 2, pretty simple, right? Step 1, step 2. Now, if you're one of our distribution partners, of course, you're going to take care of this, getting them set up in the grant. If someone's coming to us direct, we guide them here. We do 2 steps, no mystery. But on resources, here's also a link to enroll, to get financing offers. Sometimes we'll have clients that come to us and say, oh, no, I'm already fundable. I'm already ready. Great. Then we go right here. Eric and Veronica, who are online now, it looks like we have a client that we're working on a multi-million-dollar capital raise. And frankly, that client needed just one element and it had everything else in place. And so that's fine. If you have clients that are frankly overqualified for the grant, that's okay. They can bypass this. If they don't need it, then they shouldn't participate. They can come right here and we can go right to funding. Here's how to register for the daily Zooms like we're doing right now. We've talked about this link several times for the on-demand version of the 10 mistakes. If you would even just consider teaching once a month, let's say that you went to the local library or chamber or a church and you taught 1 hour a month. The church, or we call that the host will provide the space. They'll provide the butts and the seats. In other words, they'll promote it. And you go in and you teach for an hour. The average workshop tends to be about 30 people, and we average 85 to 87% enrollment. So just rounding off, if you taught 1 hour a month to an average of 30 people, we would expect at least 25 to enroll, should be quite a bit more. You're making $1,250 for each person that you educate that plugs in. So literally, you could teach one workshop a month and make around $30,000 a month inside income. So it's not get rich quick. It's probably not more than you make now, but wow, you're out helping people, and it's a lot better than being an adjunct faculty at a community college where if you've seen what they get paid, it's like $25 an hour. You're making $30,000 an hour, right? And then we handle all the implementation. Funding success stories. And then if you're not plugged in to teach, you're not plugged in to help us spread the word, this is where you do it. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and start fielding your questions. Bobby's asking about geographic areas. So we work with clients all across the country and now all across the world. So they could be in Nigeria or Canada or Mexico or, of course, the United States. So there are no geographic restrictions. Bobby, great question. That's an important one. Pearlie, what a beautiful name. Pearlie's asking about the quick cash. And so, yes, we transfer over, and there's more detailed information over here on guaranteedfunding.org, quick cash. So this is where it's available as a standalone. Here it is built in to the process. But in either case, we're transferring over $10,000 of assets. Those are in the form of accounts receivables. So accounts receivables are real assets. They're current assets that go on the balance sheet, and then we can turn around and help the client liquidate those receivables and turn it into cash. So wonderful question, Pearlie. Trevor's asking about compensation, and so I do understand everyone cares about getting paid. I guess if you had to prioritize, I would say our primary motivator should be helping others, and then our secondary motivator should be helping ourselves. But regardless, Trevor, yeah, so each time a client enrolls in the startup business funding package, they automatically get a $2,500 allocation from the grant, which is awesome. And then you're paid, Trevor, $1,250 for having educated them. So essentially, you're covering the equivalent of step one, and then helping them get plugged in. So that is paid same day. So you don't have to wait for once a month or once a week, paid same day. And I think Trevor's follow-up question is there a maximum? No, we have some distribution partners that are quite casual in their involvement, and we have others that enroll hundreds of clients per month. So it's up to you. That's up to you. We do ask, please consider helping us go educate and teach this, because there's a lot of people that don't know what you know. You know the formula for funding. You know what it takes for any client, any small business to get funded. And it's right here. So again, you teach them, Trevor, on average 85 to 87% will participate in the grant. And it's okay if they don't. I mean, we're not trying to sell them anything. It's just simply, if you want to take advantage of these resources, free, then they can do so. And if they don't want to, it's okay. But it's a success as long as we're educating people. All right, Queen's asking for a call, and so is Ken and several people. So again, I would recommend emailing us if you want to reach out to us. We normally use Calendly to schedule calls. That same client from the middle of the night last night, so spent about 30 minutes between him and his female associate before office hours this morning, and that wasn't quite enough. They wanted more time, and I said, I'm sorry, we're going to have to schedule a call, right? We're running a business here, even though it's a nonprofit. So normally we schedule calls, we use Calendly, but we'll do the best we can. But our phones are answered typically live Mondays through Fridays during office hours. And of course you have our email as well. We are trying to accommodate. We're trying to make calls in the middle of the night to meet your expectations, but in general, we would like to run this as a traditional business during office hours, because we all have families too, right? All right. Bobby asked about financing. That's right. So right here, we can click on and get financing offers. Everyone will get at least one financing offer. Everyone will get at least one financing offer. So even if they have horrible credit or no credit, everyone gets approved. All right, Eric is asking about free. So, yeah, and I guess that's point to clarify Eric's question. When I say it's free to the participant because of the grant, right? So it's really not free for us to do all these things, like file with the Secretary of State. Of course, the Secretary of State charges money. But my point is, Eric, the client doesn't have to pay that. It's free to the client because of this, right? So I guess there's some confusion that I've caused. No, I'm not saying that the Secretary of State all of a sudden waives their fees. I'm saying that we pay for it for the client, right? So we're providing them the address. We're providing them the Secretary of State filing and so forth. All right, well, I think we've covered most everything. So we get together most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. You're always welcome to come back. You can bring guests if you'd like to use this as a method to share the message. I do encourage you, though, please consider, if you're not, plug in to the Opportunity Fund. We'll train you, we'll support you, and then consider teaching. You can teach individuals or groups, you can teach in person or online, but it's great to help people, and it doesn't take much time. There's no selling involved, and it's additional income for you. The holidays are coming up. I want to make sure every one of you have made at least $30,000 of extra income in the month of December, frankly, before Christmas. And so we're committed to that. So come down here, get plugged in, we'll work with you, and we'll make sure that you have at least an extra 30,000 so your Christmas is as enjoyable as possible. All right, well, you know who we are. Hopefully you know what we do. We've covered it in detail, plus there's all these resources. So let us know what we can do. If you're looking for capital, then participate. If you're looking to help people and earn income, then plug in here. If you feel like that your business is already fundable, we've taught you what it takes to have a fundable business. If you already have this, great. Let's go to funding today. There's no upfront cost. There's no hard inquiries. Let's go. Let's go right now. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you back Monday morning. Let us know if we can do anything to assist you. Bye-bye.